If you think your newborn might have a tongue tie, stick around because today we're going to talk about signs and symptoms of tongue tie in newborns. Hey, I'm Jaimie, Air Force wife, homeschooling mama for birth doula and IBCLC, and I'm here to help you breastfeed with confidence. Today, I wanted to talk about some of the common signs and symptoms of babies having tongue ties. Before we start, if you're new here, go ahead and click subscribe so that you can get notifications anytime I upload another breastfeeding tip, birth tip, something that might be helpful for you in your breastfeeding journey. All right, so today we are talking about tongue ties and some of the common signs and symptoms of tongue tie in newborns. So the number one sign of a tongue tie in your newborn is breastfeeding challenges. And I'm gonna list some of the common ones, but it sounds like I'm listing all breastfeeding challenges because things like being unable to latch, a painful latch, falling asleep at the breast, misshapen nipples after feeding, white nipples, nipple pain, nipple damage, low milk supply, slow weight gain, like all of that could be related to a tongue tie. That's not to say that if that is happening, your baby has a tongue tie though. Some of the other symptoms could be clicking at the breast, so hearing like a sound when they're feeding, even at the bottle, struggling to breastfeed or struggling to bottle feed. You know, if you're struggling with breastfeeding and you try a bottle and they're still struggling with that, my son would actually push the nipple of the bottle back into the bottle. That's how messed up his tongue was. Other signs could be your baby trying to pop off the breast, nursing okay on one side, not the other. There's a lot of breastfeeding symptoms that could be a sign or a red flag that your baby could have a tongue tie. Like I said, many breastfeeding challenges could have many different causes, so please see a lactation consultant. If your baby is struggling to breastfeed, see a lactation consultant so they can help you kind of understand what the underlying cause might be. Symptom number 2 in newborns with tongue ties is colic and reflux. So everybody's going to talk about having this colicky baby or this refluxy baby. And again, while there's many different things that can cause colic or reflux, colic and reflux are not a diagnosis. A lot of times people are just like, oh, my baby's just colicky. He just has reflux. We got him started on medication. And that's always really frustrating to me because colic and reflux are symptoms of a bigger problem. Whether that problem is tongue tie or if it's a gut issue or allergies, there's something else going on that is causing this colic or reflux, and that should be investigated. That is something else your lactation consultant can probably help with. A lot of people think that lactation consultants are just for if you're exclusively breastfeeding or if you're having breastfeeding challenges, but really lactation consultants are experts on babies, and depending on the training that they have, they may be able to pick up on certain things and direct you to a specialist who can support you a little better than some pediatricians do. And that's not to say pediatricians are bad, just that pediatricians sometimes are not looking at the whole baby the way a lactation consultant might be. Symptom number 3 is actually breathing issues. So when we think of breathing issues in babies, you know, we're told to look out for purple lips, fast breathing, super slow breathing, retractions where it's like their ribs and belly are breathing really dramatically separate. But those aren't the only breathing issues that babies have. So a lot of times you might see a baby that's sleeping with their mouth wide open and snoring like a freight train. And you're like, oh my gosh, that's so cute. Or maybe they've got those little kitten snores and it's just adorable. And it is so adorable. But it's actually a huge red flag. Huge red flag. The truth is, as cute as all of that is, it's actually a sign that they're not breathing properly. And if they're not breathing properly, it's because they have some kind of airway obstruction, and whether that is related to their tongue not sitting where it needs to, other tension causing problems, a high palate, a combination of problems, there's something else going on there. It's never just a cute snoring baby. That is a glaring red flag that there is a problem, and a common cause of airway problems is a tongue tie. So if you think your baby has a tongue tie, what the heck should you do? Do you go to your pediatrician? Do you call a pediatric dentist? You see an ENT? What do you do? Honestly, Yes and no. Talk to your pediatrician. They may have some amazing resources available for you, but in my personal experience as a mom and a lactation consultant, pediatricians are not always well versed in tongue ties. They're not well trained in catching them or noticing them or managing them. So if you're having any of these symptoms, especially since so many of these symptoms do impact feeding, I do recommend seeing a lactation consultant who can then connect you with professionals in the area who specialize in proper tongue tie releases if that's the problem. And if that's not the problem, they can help direct you toward other professionals who can help you with that problem. And like, a lactation consultant doesn't just direct you to other professionals either. Your lactation consultant is going to be working with you step by step to help make sure you're protecting your milk supply, protecting your baby's ability to learn how to use their mouth, their ability to nurse. If they're not able to latch, your lactation consultant is going to help you create a plan for getting to that point. I just want you to keep in mind that a lot of times meeting with a lactation consultant is not a one and done situation. It's going to take a few appointments over a period of time, especially if you have a thorough lactation consultant who wants to really help you manage expectations. There are a handful of other signs that you might notice about your baby that could signal having a tongue tie. These are going to be things like how their tongue is shaped. Obviously, if they have skin underneath their tongue that's connecting it to the floor of the mouth and not letting it move, so limited range of motion, they can't stick their tongue out, they can't raise their tongue. If they have like a divot in the tip of the tongue, so it looks like a heart. If there's dimpling on the tongue here, where it's actually connected and they can't lift it, so you see them trying to lift it, but it dimples instead. If their face is asymmetrical, so sometimes they might look like they've got like a little crooked thing going on, or one eye looks bigger than the other, those can kind of be signs that there's some structural stuff going on, and a lot of times structural things can coincide with tongue ties or be a sign of a tongue tie. Because there's a lot of tension, and if there's uneven tension, that can make feeding harder too. So that kind of goes back to breastfeeding issues. But there are physical attributes that can show that your baby has a tongue tie. Another one is often people will notice a white coating on the tongue and think their baby has thrush, and it turns out not to be thrush, but it is just the fact that they cannot use their tongue to get their tongue to the roof of the mouth to clear it. And so there's like residual milk hanging out on their tongue because they can't clear it all the way. I hope this helped answer some of your questions about newborns with tongue ties. If you are having a baby soon or you're struggling with breastfeeding, I want you to know that there is help available. If you're pregnant right now and hoping to breastfeed, I do have a free online breastfeeding class available that you can sign up for, take the class. It creates a really strong foundation, in my opinion, for breastfeeding success. It's obviously not going to solve every issue, but it's going to help you kind of know what's normal, what's not, and when to look for help and when to find help and where to find help. You can also check out my blog over at littlebearlactation.com. I have a ton of great breastfeeding and pregnancy resources on there for moms like you. And finally, if you need more one-to-one support, you can go ahead and check and see if your insurance is working with the Lactation Network. If your health insurance is working with the Lactation Network, you likely qualify for up to 6 no out-of-pocket, free, totally covered breastfeeding consults with a lactation consultant. So you can go ahead and book a virtual visit with me and pay nothing out of pocket if your insurance is working with the Lactation Network. If your insurance is not working with the Lactation Network, that's okay. If you are with TRICARE East, I do take TRICARE East, full coverage for TRICARE also. If you're TRICARE West or Medicaid, I do offer a steep discount. And if you have any other insurance that is not working with the Lactation Network, as long as you try through the Lactation Network, if you get denied and you can show me that you got denied, I'll go ahead and give you a complimentary 5% discount and a super bill to file with your insurance to hopefully get reimbursement for your lactation visits. If you have any questions about breastfeeding a baby with a tongue tie, go ahead and drop them in the comments below. I am happy to answer them, and I might just feature yours in my next video.